taxpayer is Glencore International AG. Take note, it is a Switzerland company. And the assessment period here is 2007, 2008, and 2009. What is the control transaction that being assessed? The control transaction being assessed is the acquisition of copper concentrate under an offtake agreement between Glencore from its subsidiary Glencore Management.
Can you use the mic? Para na-record kasi.
Okay. So, yun po, the control transaction in this case is the acquisition of copper concentrate under offtake agreement between Glencore International and Glencore Management. Glencore Management is a Australian company which owns and operates the mine in Australia. And the amount being assessed is as follows: $49 billion, $83 billion, and $100 billion.
Assessment, no?
So, just para mabigyan lang ng picture, so si Glencore kasi yung parent company na nasa Switzerland, and si Cobar is the subsidiary na nasa Australia. So ngayon, ang control transaction is acquisition of copper concentrate, meaning si Glencore binibili niya yung copper concentrate mula kay Cobar. Si Cobar kasi is a mining company, and si Glencore siya yung gumagamit ng copper concentrate. So, binibili niya ngayon kay Cobar yung copper concentrate. Ano ba yung tsura ng copper concentrate? Could search it sa internet. Pero that is the copper, kasi pagka-mine, dumadaan siya sa isang process, and then lalabas is yung parang naka-bar na siya. Then yung bar, yun yung gagamitin ngayon to whether gagamitin siya sa electronics. So actually, the case, so mahaba siya, so baliktad. So pag binasa niyo yung case, hindi ganito yung magkakapresent. So I presented it in such a way na feeling ko will be more intuitive for us. So first, kasi marami sa cases, marami siyang dinefine na later on page 100 mo pa malalaman na ito pala ibig sabihin niya. So ngayon, what I'll do is, ano ba muna ang copper concentrate market? Okay, copper concentrate is produced at copper mines from processing the sulfide and oxide ore. So to produce the pure copper from the ores, it must go through further processing refining, which is done at smelters. So a copper concentrate, sa loob kasi nga maraming mga elements. May copper, may iron, may sulfur, and various precious metals such as gold and silver. Ang ngayon, per copper, magkakaiba sila ng concentrates and magkakaiba rin ng parang yung elements. So mas pure siya, mas kaunting mga elements or precious metals, mas mahal siya. Mas marami siyang precious metals or mas marami siyang kung ano-ano, mas madumi siya. So, the spectrum ayun. So, the copper concentrate varies around 10% to 50% depending on the ore body. Ibig sabihin, mas malaki, mas 50% mas madumi. So, kung mas madumi siya, mas mahirap i-process into a copper concentrate. Kasi yung mga bato, dadaan yan sa isang machine. Then, from that machine, dun isi-sift, ipaghihiwalay ng silver, ang gold, ang ibang precious metal, ang matitira doon yung copper concentrate. Ganun siya. So ano ba yung custom concentrate market? So, technically, ang sinasabi sa custom concentrate market is paano ba binibenta ang concentrates? So, I made a simple diagram. This is the market. So, may miners. The miners are the sellers. And the ultimate buyers are the smelters. And in between are the traders or merchants, which is the intermediary. Okay, the production and smelting of copper concentrates within a corporate group is described as integrated production. Pero pagka yung copper concentrate, binibenta siya sa third party, ang tawag sa kanya custom concentrate market. So ito and first part are all definition of terms muna. Para later on maintindihan natin yung case. Okay. Ngayon, pagka merong agreement between the smelter and the trader in a long-term basis, ang tawag doon off-take agreements.
Ano?
Off-take agreements.
Off-take.
Okay. So, ang off-take agreements, pag long-term off-take agreements, usually fixed number siya of the years, usually what we call a life of the mine. Ibig sabihin kung gaano katagal yung mine,
Yung deposits niya.
oo, yun yung yun yung tagal ng off-take agreement. So, kunyari, yung mina na yun, tatagal siya ng 10 years worth of copper, then 10 years din yung off-take agreement. Okay, next is about pricing. So, sabi sa case, and ang basis pala nito ay mga experts from different fields, including mining field. Sabi nila is variable nature of the copper concentrate makes the copper concentrate's pricing reference to a certain metal exchange, which is the London Metal Exchange. London Metal Exchange. So parang siyang kung sa stocks, may Philippine Stock Exchange. So sila meron. Ang base point is the London Metal Exchange. However, each contract is individually negotiated and have varying terms that affect the price of copper concentrate. So kahit may London Metal Exchange, the parties can still negotiate as to the terms. Kasi according to Mr. Wilson, ito is the expert witness of the taxpayer. The detail in the pricing of individual contracts will vary greatly depending on the needs and the risk appetite of the seller buyer. Okay. So next is, ano ba ang copper metal price? So copper metal can be traded on one of three metal exchanges. So one is, the largest is the London Metal Exchange. So it was common ground between experts. Kasi when we say between experts, kasi dito sa case, nagbigay na experts si taxpayer, nagbigay din ng experts si commissioner, yung tax authority. So sabi niya, is extremely volatile and unpredictable with ups and downs. Okay, so ano ba yung mga nag-i-influence ng prices ng metal? So ito, global industrial activity, overall copper metal inventory levels, value of the US dollar, the general copper supply and demand, change in metal supply and demand, and mga other disruptive elements like flooding and earthquakes.
Okay.
So, ngayon, syempre may presyo tayo. So, alam na natin ang mga contracts. So, merong cost of market or the integrated production or the off-take agreement. Alam na natin ano yung presyo na tinitingnan, which is the London market price. Ang next naman na alamin natin is quotational period. So, kailan ba, kasi ang London market price, parang Philippine Stock Exchange, nagbabago siya. So, quotational period naman is kailan ba i-peg yung price. So, quotational period varies from contract to contract and typically linked either on the month of shipment of the copper concentrate from the port of embarkation or the month of arrival of the concentrate at the point of disembarkation. So, pwedeng mula sa point of shipping, pwedeng siya shipping point or sa destination point.
Yes.
So,
Parang FOB, no?
So to simplify that, it's either FOB SP as shipping point or FOB DP. Okay. So pwede rin daw mangyari na pag-uusapan ng parties, it's either a single day, a week, or a month, yung quotation period. Pwede naman, if longer than a day, ang gagamitin na is the average published daily settlement. If you would see sa page 32 of the case, pwede siya ma-download din naman sa internet, nandun yung relevant period abbreviation. So for example, a contract with quotation period of M+1. M+1 means calendar month prior to month of shipment. So ibig sabihin, yung presyo, ititignan 1 month before i-ship out. Okay. So marami pa dyan, meron 1 mama, 2 mama, M+4, so you could check it sa part of 77. So it means daw, pag M+1, yung titignan is the average daily London exchange price in the calendar after the month of shipment are used. Okay. So usually, meron na tawag na quotational period optionality. Ito is if offtake agreements can contain one quotational period or multiple quotational periods for a given payable metal. Where multiple quotational periods are identified, the contract will stipulate the process of selecting which quotational period will apply. So sa offtake agreement, di ba yun yung long-term agreement? So, pwedeng mangyari maraming transaction within the period. So, quotational period optionality means bibigyan ng option yung smelter, so smelter kasi yung bibili ng copper concentrate, as to anong quotational period na gagamitin. Yung shipping point ba, yung destination point ba, average ba, etc. So some contracts allow the buyer to choose from several quotational periods where the price in at least one quotational period is known at the time of selection. So the type of optionality is referred as quotational period optionality with back pricing. When you say back pricing, kasi pwedeng na-deliver na siya pero ang gagamitin is yung back price, yung presyo bago yung deliver. Okay, we should also know about the TCRCS. So this is what we call the copper concentrate treatment charge or refinement charge. So kasi, di ba yung bato, kasi pagkamina, hindi naman yan copper agad. So dadaan siya sa process. So yung process na yun is what we call a treatment or a refinement process. And yung mga nag-charge. Sorry. TCRCs in long term can include both benchmark TCRCs and spot TCRCs. So may dalawang klase ng TCRCs, so benchmark or spot. So benchmark TCRCs, usually these benchmarks are established by major concentrate buyers and sellers during the so-called mating season. And usually this starts in September. And negotiation continues until TCRCs and level participation or price participation are agreed. So usually, for example, so there's what we call the Japanese benchmark TCRCs. So yun yung mga major players na nag-uusap, tapos pag nag-agree na sila, so ito yung benchmark, ito yung susundan na lahat ng nasa market. Meron yung tinatawag na prevailing spot TCRCs, which is, it is the market dynamic. So, pwedeng supply and demand siya. Spot meaning kung ano yung presyo ng TCRC on that day, yun yung presyo na ibigay. Okay. Next is price participation. So, ang basic ng price participation is a mechanism that may be applied to long-term copper concentrate contracts adopting benchmark TCRCs, which enables both seller and buyer to participate in the movements in the copper concentrate. So, price participation usually reference a trigger London Metal Exchange copper price of 90 per speed limit per pound, above which the refining charge will be increased by 10% of the amount by which the London Metal Exchange price is even steeper. But below 90 per speed of the light per pound, then 10%. Okay, so basically, it's the weight of the copper. So, technical lang eh. So
technical, right?
So, yung bato na yun, syempre, i-weigh. Tapos, bawat yung weight niya, pagka lumabas is less than, more than ito, 90 times the speed of limit per pound, then the refining charge, itataas ng 10%. Okay. Sa market daw kasi, the price of the copper is opposite to the price of the SRS. So, pag tumataas yung copper price, bumababa yung treatment price. Pag bumababa yung proper price, tumataas yung treatment price. Okay. So, basically, yan yung point dyan. Now, the price sharing agreement eliminates...
Yan yung issue dyan di ba?
Yes.
Price sharing agreement.
The price sharing agreement eliminates now that volatility. So, dahil sa price sharing agreement, hindi na ma-fix na ngayon yung refinery charge based sa copper price. So, hindi na siya spot price na opposite ang actual price. So, ngayon, okay, so further discussion. And yeah, other components of the copper concentrate, merong freight and insurance, may payment terms. Okay. So sa case na ito kasi, ang nangyari, the company, si Glencore and si Cobar, before 2007, ang agreement nila is a custom market agreement. Meaning, yung kanina, which is a sale of a copper concentrate to a third party. After February 2007, ang naging agreement na nila is a price sharing agreement. Wherein the agreement now is magkakaroon ng finance charge at 23% of the price of the copper. So, yan. So ito na yun. So si Copper Management, siya yung nag-manage ng CSA Mine, which is sa Australia.
Yes.
So until 2007, ang offtake agreement nila is a market-related agreement. Yun yung custom market. Kasi binibenta na talaga yung copper concentrate at the spot market. Pero nung after 2007, nag-price sharing agreement na sila. And yung quotational period ni Glencore is linked sa month of the shipment of the copper concentrate from the loading port or the month of arrival at the port of disembarkation. Within either alternative, si Glencore may option na mamili doon. So nagkaroon siya ngayon ng back pricing ability. Okay, tapos at 23%. So mangyari dyan, a deduction was then made from the copper reference price for treatment and copper refining charges were fixed 23% of the copper reference price. So, kunyari, kung ang copper reference price is $90, so ang ginagawa, binibenta ngayon ni Cobar kay Glencore ng mas mababa by 23%. So, binati 100 na lang. So, mababawas ng 23 pesos. So, 23 pesos yung pagbenta niya kay Glencore. Nung dati, bebenta lang talaga ni Glencore, ay bebenta ni Copper kay Glencore at 100 pesos, $100.
Kaya sa transfer pricing, doon mo hahanapin yung transaction na may control or may related party or something na hindi talaga siya enforce sa market. So ano yun? Si Glencore ba at saka si ano related party?
Yes, they are subsidiary. So 100% owned ni Glencore si Copper. So here, dahil doon, ang ginawa ng Commissioner of the Internal Revenue nila is to adjust, so tinanggal yung 23%, tapos in-apply is 50% benchmark and 50% spot. Tapos, in-adjust yung to reflect the impact of the consistently applied quotational period. Kasi, ang nangyari doon, di ba, meron siyang back pricing agreement, which is pwede siya mamili kung port, shipping point ba or destination point. Kasi pag walang back pricing agreement, kung ano sa agreement namin na shipping point lang yan, destination point. Pero dito kasi, nagkaroon ng back pricing agreement. So, kunyari, pagka kung mas maganda yung presyo ng shipping point, di shipping point pipiliin na yung Glencore. Kung mas maganda ang presyo during the destination point na pipiliin. So, ginawa ng Commissioner is in-adjust niya para maging consistent yung pricing. Okay, so further, background. Sorry, ilang minutes ang po ba ako?
Ay, walang limit.
Okay. So, ang Glencore, worldwide siya. Apparently, meron siyang operations sa Philippines. And it's a total of 90 products ang meron siya, including copper concentrate. So, it has 40 offices. And it is the largest center of copper concentrate in the world in 2006. So, Glencore mostly sold the copper concentrate to smelters in Japan, Korea, India, the Philippines, and China. So, sa Philippines, actually, we only have one copper concentrate smelter. So, meron na tayong isa dito. So, okay. So, syempre, as si Ma'am has discussed us for the past 4 days, first is control. You have to identify whether nag-exercise ba ng control si Glencore kay Cobalt dito, actually, mas nag-extend pa siya ng analysis. Hindi lang siya kay Cobalt merong, hindi lang in-analyze, but rather, dun mismo sa mina, dun sa minahan, meron bang control si Glencore. So, hindi lang siya tinignan, meron bang control sa subsidiary. At tinignan pa is, meron ba siyang control dun sa asset, dun sa mine, the CSA mine. So, to summarize, meron kasi si Mr. Kelly, which is I think the finance officer ng Glencore, merong financial and managerial control over the CSA mine. And siya pa yung asset manager ng CSA mine. And actually, pag tinignan mo yung page, paragraph 127, nandun yung lahat ng ginagawa niya. Then, sinabi pa ni Mr. Kelly na meron silang intercompany account. So, doon sa intercompany account, lahat nakakakuha ng pera doon. Si Glencore nakakakuha doon, si Cobalt nakakakuha doon. Okay. Now, pinakita as an evidence ng commissioner na based on management report, yung pag-shift niya from market-related offtake agreement, pag-shift ni Glencore sa ni Cobalt from market-related offtake agreement to a price-sharing agreement, nagkaroon pa ng negative financial effects sa company.
Sinong company yan?
Si Cobalt.
Cobalt.
Oo. Kasi bumaba ngayon, kasi binabawasan siya eh. Kaysa nagbebenta siya ng 100, nagbebenta na lang yun ng 70 something.
Yes.
Okay. Pero sinabi ni Mr. Kelly na hindi naman dahil okay. So sinabi dito ni Mr. Kelly na hindi naman tama yung may negative effect dahil based sa forecast nila mas kumanda pa yung actually it guaranteed the viability of it. So basically, based sa forecast naman ng company, mas kikita pa or mas naging viable pa yung price sharing agreement nila compared to yung dati. Okay. So ngayon, dito kasi nalaman during cross-examination na ang pinagbasihan kasi ng commissioner is during sa forecast, so the commission deducted forecast cost in Australian dollar, pero the forecast revenue is in US dollar. So magkaiba yung ginamit ng commissioner. So pag-forecast ng cost, ginamit na Australian dollar, or pag-forecast ng revenue, US dollar.
Hindi nila na-reconcile.
So dahil doon, mali si commissioner for saying na may negative impact yung 23%. Okay, so we focus on 23%, that is a transfer pricing.
Yes. Ito comment ko lang. If you are in the part of the government, technicality lang yun eh. Dapat kasi nireconcile nila yung impact or ng Canadian dollar against US dollar. Yun lang. Diba? Alam mo naman yung court, diba? Naghahanap lang yan ng ayota or a very, very small technicality. So, talo ka na.
Okay. So, dito, the taxpayers unchallenged calculation of the margins, hindi siya na-overturn ng commissioner. So, sinabi dito na mali yung sinasabi ng commissioner na naging negative yung impact ng bagong mag-bid. So, medyo pero yeah, I think ibibigay naman po sa yung material. Keeps lang. Okay, other notes, in-apply rin parang sinama rin sa sa defense ng taxpayer na may applicable law which is the tax treaty between Australia and Switzerland. Okay, so the issue here is whether or not the adjustment made by the Australian Taxation Office pursuant to a proper price sharing mechanism between Cobalt and Glencore resulting in assessment of income tax is proper. So basically, whether or not yung 20% is an arm's length transaction.
Correct.
The ruling, the transaction is arm's length.
Panalo yung ano dyan,
Yes.
no?
So, nanalo dito si Glencore. Okay. So, ano bang ginawa? So, medyo nag-focus sila sa comparabilities. So, and I think ang naging maganda dito is, as discussed ni Ma'am, is nag-focus dito yung one of the factors for comparabilities, which is contract terms.
Yes.
So, dito is contract
Yes.
terms ang naging basis. So, ano yung naging comparables? Ang maganda dito, or ang interesting dito, ang naging comparables are internal
Comparable.
contracts, internal comparables. So, for example, yung agreement between Red Earth and Cayman Resources, Red Earth and Glencore, Glencore and Jiangxi, BMAG and Ditaya, Triton Resources and Sempra, PT Freeport and Pasar. Okay. Ito, syempre internal, kasi si Glencore. Ito, PT Freeport, ito are external. So, halo-halo siyang comparables. Nagbigay rin siya ng comparables na mayroong back pricing. So, that's between Glencore and Big Gold, Glencore and Barbinco, Oceana and Glencore, Oceana and Glencore, saka itong joint venture of Erdenet and Glencore, and Montana and Glencore. So ito, back pricing, ito yung Glencore with third parties. Okay, so I made the table. Okay, contracts with sharing mechanism. So sinabi dito ng commissioner na the contracts did not support the proposition that price-sharing provisions were adopted in situations comparable to that faced by Cobalt in 2006. So aside from pointing the contractual differences, the Commission argued that the contracts were not relevantly comparable either because the contract was with a mine subject to a finance or a mine which have not yet commenced production. So dito kasi hindi naman subject to finance yung mine kasi sariling mina nila yun.
Yeah.
And hindi rin, nag-work na yung mine, nagpo-produce na. So yun yung ni Commissioner. So ano ba yung mga comparables? So sa Jiangxi contract, ang sinabi dito, the price sharing is 22.5%. Sinabi ni Commissioner, hindi siya tamang comparable kasi dito, in-apply lang siya sa isang transaction which is worth 10,000 DMT, but sige, gawin natin tons. Basta something tons yan. Okay, so one transaction lang daw kasi yan, yung agreement na yan. At yung ibang transaction daw kasi, spot agreement.
Okay. So may kaiba.
Okay,
Yes,
ba?
na
Yun yung sabi ni Commissioner. Pero syempre, well, you know na, sabi ng court dito na these are all comparables in arm's length. Pero I'm presenting lang how the comparables are analyzed. Sa Red Bank, dito, lifetime yung agreement, lifetime mine agreement, buong 100% of the production ng Red Bank binibigay, and 20% ang PCRC. Sabi dito ni Commissioner, meron daw critical differences kasi si Red Bank hindi ba nagpo-produce? Hindi ba nagsa-start yung mining operation?
So, wala.
And si Glencore, binigyan lang siya ng 2 quotational periods. Remember, dun sa offtake agreement between Glencore and Cobalt, meron siyang back pricing optionality. Ito kasi, 2 quotational periods lang. Walang back pricing
So,
optionality.
ibig sabihin, hindi sila comparable.
So, hindi daw comparable. Sa Red Earth contract, the agreement is life of the mine and 100% ng production mo pupunta. Ngayon sabi ni Commissioner, the quantities expected to be sold under Red were significantly smaller than the CSA mine. So maliit kasi, 5,000 lang, and compared to sa CSA mine, mas malaki daw.
Mas malaki.
So hindi daw comparable.
Yes.
The Triton contract naman, ito, 100% pupunta kay Glencore, and the exploration project, either 70 to 100,000 tons per annum. Sabi ni Commissioner, to distinguish this contract on the basis that one entered a number of years prior to production starting. So ito kasi, ito agreement na ito, kung pinasok na, matagal na bago pa nag-start yung production. F. Basar, so this is PT Indonesia. Sabi dito, the contract provides sale between 100 tons to 140 tons, and the contract has 21% price sharing component. And merong ceiling, floor and ceiling na cover price of 80 per pound and 95 per pound.
Yes.
Sabi ng commissioner, distinguishes contract on the basis it's entered into a well in advance of the production. So, advance na naman. Ito kasi, yung kay Glencore Taxing Cobalt, during the production siya, or nangyayari na yung transaction. Ito kasi, advance agreement. Itong BMAG din tayo, the price sharing is 25.5% of the London exchange price, and over the quotation period, subject to a minimum deduction of 20 per pound. Sabi ni Commissioner that the contract was not comparable as it was in the nature of distribution agreement between related parties, and only 1/3 of the production was covered by the price sharing terms. Dito kasi hindi yung buong production, hindi yung buong mamimina ay subject sa price sharing agreement. Only 1/3 lang ang ma-cover. Okay. So yun yung mga price sharing agreements. Ngayon, nagbigay rin ng comparables regarding back pricing optionalities. So taxpayer submitted quotational period clauses, including quotational period back pricing optionalities. Papakita ko yung annex later. Ina-argue naman ng commissioner na yung mga contracts na ito, yung features niya, enjoys a degree of quotational period optionality. The quid pro quo for the benefit of that optionality ordinarily takes the form of discounted and reduced PCRC, although it may be reflected elsewhere in the contract. Okay, so ito yung
argument ng commissioner, no? Yun yung contract nila.
So, ito yung mga contracts na present nila. So, una yung peak gold, ang quotation period nila is at buyer's option. 1 month after, or M+1 is calendar month prior to the month of shipment. So, before 1 month. MOS is a month prior to month of scheduled shipment, and 3 mama is 3rd calendar month after month of arrival. So, yun yung mga quotational period clause. So, pwede yung buyer mamimili dun sa tatlong options na yun. And sabi ng commissioner, ano ba ito? Because of the lower copper grade, material being sold and more limited, then the optionality hindi siya comparable. So, yung minimina kasi dito sa pink gold, mas pangit ito yung quality compared sa minimina dun sa CSA. Sa parking ko, so ito yung period. So, ang sabi ng commissioner dyan is may lack of comparability because iba yung market condition noong 2004. 2006 kasi itong agreement na ito. Okay. Dito naman sa Oceana, sinabi ng, well, si Mr. Kowal is the expert witness ng commissioner.
Yes.
Ang sinabi dito, mas dirtier yung concentrates sa Oceana kasi merong lead content at zinc content. Yung sinabi ko kanina, the more na maraming other metals na nandun, mas pangit siya. Mas mura. So, kaya daw hindi comparable. Doon sa isa Oceana naman, walang sinabi ang commission. So, made no submissions on this one. Sa Ardenne, ang sinabi ng commissioner dito is hindi analogous yung agreement because it's for specific tonnage, not 100% off-pay. So, dito sa agreement na ito, ang covered lang is 30,000 tons.
Okay.
Hindi siya yung buong lifetime of the mine. Unlike dun sa Glencore Cobalt, lifetime of the mine. The Montana contract naman, ang sabi ng commissioner is mas binigyan ng quid pro quo, mas binigyan ng mas magandang benefit kasi yung sa Cobalt, Glencore compared dito. Kasi sa TSRC, as low as $20. Whereas dun sa dito sa 2006 na agreement, $60 na. So hindi siya mako-compare no? For take note, ang issue dito, hindi na yung about sa price sharing, but rather yung back optionality, yung back pricing na siya. So for me, of personal opinion, mali yung pinapoint out ng commissioner. Kasi ang pinapoint out pa rin ng commissioner dito, for example sa Montana, is about back pricing, hindi yung optionalities. Ayun, tapos na. Sorry, hindi ko na po na PowerPoint kasi video ko haba. Okay. Okay, so dito na tayo sa reasoning. Ano ba sabi ng, ano ba sabi ng court regarding sa lahat? Okay. Even if there are points of distinction to be made, the contract is an example of a contract between independent parties acting on arm's length. Containing materially identical quotation period optionality, where the value attributable to the back pricing is identifiable in terms of the contract itself. So, basically, kung nakita nyo kanami, yung price sharing, na within the range naman siya ng 23% kasi iba 20 to 25. Sa back optionality naman, yung ibang mga buyers, binibigyan naman talaga ng option, tatlong option, ilang option. So, kasi ang ginawa kasi ng commissioner dito is as if screen up niya yung buong contract and gumawa siya ng sariling contract.
Yun.
Ang sinasabi ng commission ng korte, hindi mo pwedeng gawin yun na isa-scrap mo yung buong kontrata para lang i-debunk yung comparables. Kailangan i-compare mo talaga yung current contract with the comparables. O, hindi yung babaguhin mo yung current contract para lang mag-fit in sa comparables. Mangyayari lang naman daw yun under the Australian guidelines if may dalawa. Kung na pwede mong i-debunk or i-restructure. So, ang is the structuring of the contract. Pwede walang i-restructure yung contract in two cases. If economic substance is differs from the form, or well, the form and substance and such transaction are the same. The arrangement totally differs from the contract. Dito naman, wala namang evident or clear evidence na pumasok siya dito sa dalawa. Therefore, the restructuring of the actual agreement should not happen. So, the present case is not falling either the exception, and kailangan the analysis is based on the actual agreement and the comparables. So I think dito ang importante, kinote nila yung Canadian tax authorities, tax court, saying na the court cannot speculate as to what arm's length transaction might or might not have done in the circumstances. Kasi ginawa ng commissioner, ito kasi 2004 pa yan, ito kasi 2007, ito kasi wala pa ganito. So, hindi trabaho ng tax court to identify ano ba dapat ito nangyari noong 2007 or 2004, ano. But rather, it should be the actual contract versus the comparables. So, here, sabi ng korte, satisfied siya na 23% using arm's length kasi ito yung mga reasons. Within the normal range, kasi 21 to 26% yung Brook-Hunt report. Brook-Hunt report is parang report nila ng mga mining. Yung mga comparables within the range din, 20 to 27.5. And sinabi ni Inglebrink, which is the witness rin ng commissioner, na fair transfer price. Fair transfer price yun. And meron mga documents na naka-attach sa position paper ni commissioner na nag-show na yung historically, 21% din naman yung TCRS ni Cobalt. So malapit lang naman siya sa 23. Dito naman sa quotation ng period optionality, common naman din sa mga traders na ganun yung agreement. Hindi naman siya parang weirdly na pa sa kanila lang. Okay din.
So, question. This clarification.
Medyo...
This is a very good case, no? Kasi ang natin dyan, once na you have developed, no, study one case, more or less alam nyo na paano i-apply. This is a very good case, no? Tsaka ang ganda ng pagpapresent ni attorney because yung mga critics about the comparables, isa-isa mo eh, no? So that's why you really understand. Ano pa yung mga argument dyan ng court, no, na nangyari? Because ang isang idagdag ko lang dyan na yung role ng expert witness. Kasi sabi ko, akala ko pag expert witness ka, kinuha ka ng isang halimbawa, party of the case. Yung responsibility mo is to defend your client o yung kumuha sa iyo. Hindi pala, in that case, pag expert witness ka, sasabihin mo lang kung ano talaga yung totoo.
Yes, no.
Not na mag-side ka sa bawat isa sa kanila. That's why, in this case, di ba, kahit yung expert witness na kinuha ng commissioner, siya mismo yung nagsabi na fair yung transfer price.
Yes.
Kaya that contribute na nanalo pa rin yung Glencore.
And syempre, mga comparables shows na within the range.
Kaya when you make your transfer pricing analysis now, you should consider that your comparables are all within the range. Kaya nga sabi ko, kung namili kayo ng comparables which according to OECD can be 8 to 12, na sobrang dami. So yung hanapin mo, yung within the range na listed party nyo ng company nyo. Kasi kung hindi siya comparable, talo kayo. So ganda na pagka-present